This is a clip from the Red Cow Arcade podcast.
I have been busy watching, catching up on the 2 Marvel things that I hadn't seen.
Yeah, I have not seen them because of my kids and my podcast. So,
If they hadn't released exclusively in theaters, I'm sure you would have.
oh yeah, if they were on the Plex, or even if I had to pay an extra couple of bucks on Disney Plus, like I would totally do that.
But alas, so yeah, I missed Shang-Chi when it was out. But then yesterday it was Veterans Day. My kid was in school. My wife was at work, and I had, I got my workout done, my workout, and I was like, I probably can go for 2.5 uninterrupted hours to a movie theater.
That's amazing.
It was Eternals, which has had strange, confusing reviews.
Yeah, it seems like the critics are, middling to bad on it, and the audience seems to like it, which always, to me, signals that maybe it's worth watching.
Let me see if I can synopsize it without ruining anything. You know how in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, there are these things called Celestials?
Yes.
Remember, like, Ego, the living planet, is a Celestial? I remember in that movie, he refers to it as God, little g.
Yeah, little g, yeah.
So there's these Celestials, and, thousands of years ago, there was one named Arisham that birthed these 10 heroes basically to protect his interests. Like they're creations of him, the god. And so he created Eternals, and it was to protect the universe from these things called deviants, which are like CG dogs. They're like spider CG dogs. But then kind of, after a couple thousand years, they eliminated all of them. And their only mission was to remove those, to fight those. And once they succeeded, like he never called them back. So they're just kind of like there on Earth, not knowing what their purpose is. And so they have Selma Hayek's their leader, Ajak, and they all have like Greek mythology names, like Thena and Icarus and that sort of thing. Circe's. And she says, well, go live lives, and we'll reunite someday, thousands of years from now, and we'll all figure out what we found. And so I remember when the trailer released and they were like, we never could interfere with human endeavors and stuff. The reasoning is because their god said, you're only here to fight deviants. To interfere with anything else would pause human progress. And so I should stop there. But basically, the movie from that point forward is modern day, these kind of orphaned superheroes not really knowing their place and all having different beliefs, kind of different religious beliefs about what their place is in existence. And it's torn them apart, having these different beliefs about it. Some of them feel very strongly, we are this, and some of them are like, we are not that, and others have witnessed human atrocity, and that makes them very hateful towards humans, and others are super into them. And so it's just about it's a family that has grown apart, and none of them are bad, none of them are good,
but they all have to come together for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I thought as I was watching it, I was like, this is a great Thanksgiving movie. This is an awesome Thanksgiving movie. And yes, there is an action sequence to end the movie, but I thought I'll talk about Shang-Chi in a minute, but Shang-Chi has a big CG monster fight where you're going to watch people punch CG for a while. There's not a lot of that in this movie. There's a kind of a giant natural thing happening that they're trying to thwart, which I think is more interesting and more story motivated. There were a couple of humorous moments that really got me, like where like the jokes, because they're a little few and far between. It's not the most hilarious movie in the world, but it's definitely not like humorless either. Which the trailer, I remember, I should establish, when I saw the trailers to this thing, I was like, ugh, that looks like you're shoving some kind of toss onto me.
Yeah, the trailers looked super boring. Like, it looked like tedious, whatever they were showing me.
I have no idea what I'm looking at. But no, it's cool. It's well, you know, like, so it does time jumps a little bit, but it's not. Remember Captain Marvel did time jumps kind of poorly, where you're like, I don't know why this is jerking me around the way it is. This thing, it's, I think, more appropriate given that you're talking about like people with infinite lives and
yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, obviously it's a good metaphor for family, but it's also kind of like they're a good metaphor for like all of humanity too. And I think that's in part why all of them being kind of multicultural or multi-ability works well too, because they kind of represent like the entire globe. I was into it, man, and I didn't even think it was a slog. Like, I heard people saying like, "There's a really good hour-and-a-half long movie in this thing." I was like, "No, I think it's." You know, if you're going to, one of the things that turned me off about it the most was hearing that they were going to have to balance 10 characters who I don't know at all.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's going to be like unenjoyable to watch. But no, there's a main one. So there's a main character, first of all. So you're following her mostly. And then they do a good job of sort of like a good portion of the second act is putting the band back together. It's kind of like Blues Brothers. it's going around the globe and kind of finding where these people have ended up. And so by the end of the movie, even though there's 10 of them, you know all their names, you know all their abilities, you know what's going to make them tick. You know which ones of them are going to be confrontational, which ones are not going to be confrontational. The casting I thought was really good. You know, it's cool to see like Angelina Jolie in an ensemble and not as a lead. It's just kind of neat.
Yeah, that's the thing about like these Marvel movies is they always get these huge or formerly huge actors to play these like humble roles or even just have cameos.
Right. Yeah, you have like Michael Douglas like showing up in like, you know, somebody else's movie like just for a moment. Yeah. Yeah, it's cool. So I recommend it, and I, you know, like, it's not Thor Ragnarok to me. It's not Guardians 2. You know, those are like some top tier movies, but it's towards, you know, it's like Doctor Strange, like,
yeah,
real solid stuff. Like, I would rewatch it for sure. And I never ever expected that I was going to say that. I was like, I'll see it for homework and that's the end of it. But no, it's quite good.
Your enthusiasm is surprising to me. So I need to find a scheme to get to that theater.
Well, let this at least like I don't think I've been accused anytime recently of like making my mind up about movies before I see them, but I could easily be accused of that because I certainly form opinions about movies before I see them. But it doesn't have to mean anything. I will watch your movie, and I'll form an opinion then and only then. It goes totally fresh.
Yeah, the marketing I don't think did it any favors, but
yeah, they don't do great with the marketing sometimes. Like, well, I'll talk about Shang-Chi real quick. So, because it dropped on Disney Plus today. I didn't think the trailer for that looked especially interesting either. I guess, you know, they were marketing it as it's going to be, you know, House of Flying Daggers, but Marvel, and, you know, and that is essentially what it is. Good characters. Again, I think good structure, good casting, cool cinematography, a little too much for the CG fighting for my taste. It, you know, gets a little punchy and I start to drift off. But like, he's really good. His girlfriend in it is that Awkwafina, you know, comedian. Oh. And she did the voice too of The Last Dragon in Raya and the Last Dragon, and I really liked her in that too. A lot of good ideas for sure. I think that they'll play well in the Marvel universe. I would give it like a B+. I would compare it to like maybe Black Panther. You know, like where it's like, this is a good Marvel movie. I'm glad I saw it. I'm not sure I would like jump to revisit it, but if somebody was like, we're gonna watch Shang-Chi again, I'd be like, okay. It's no Captain. For me, Captain Marvel is like bottom of the barrel.
So is it just on regular Disney Plus or?
Yeah, you just watch it.
You can just. Oh, okay. Well, geez, I'll I'll do that later tonight.
Yeah, it's been in theaters for like a month and a half, so they're and I guess it did really well in theaters, whereas Eternals has not.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's probably the marketing, and maybe people are listening to the critics. I don't know.
Yeah, and then they both have exciting post-credit sequences and stuff. Here's a I don't if you're like very sensitive to spoilers, like you couldn't possibly hear anything, then like maybe switch off for like a minute. But I don't see what the big deal is. Everybody probably has heard that. You remember in Iron Man 3, the Mandarin ended up being an actor that like Ben Kingsley was playing an actor playing him.
Yeah.
I think probably by now people know that like they've kind of redone the Mandarin to be a real person. And that's established in this movie. It's Shang-Chi's dad.
I see.
And, but Ben Kingsley's in the movie. And he's basically a prisoner of the real Mandarin. And he pops up and he's kookier and more eccentric than ever. Like, who knew that Ben Kingsley is a brilliant comedic performer? He's hilarious in it. He's the highlight of the movie for me. That's
all. That's really clever.
Did you ever see, EJ, the movie Killing of a Sacred Deer?
No.
It's a very cool movie that I saw back when we were doing Oscar type stuff. It was I think the guy was nominated for Best Actor.
I'm gonna write.
It's basically it's about this guy who's it's about a killer, and the kid who was in that, it plays one of the Eternals, and he's excellent in Killing of a Sacred Deer, and he's excellent in this. He was in Dunkirk as well. He was like the main he was like the kid on the sailboat, not the sailboat, but he was the kid like on the boat that was like, we got to go help those people.
I see. Yep.
I'll also say about Shang-Chi, if you're looking for a good martial arts movie and you didn't find it with Mortal Kombat, I mean, this thing is a billion times better than Mortal Kombat. Like, if you just wanted a good Mortal Kombat movie, you could just go to Shang-Chi.
Yeah, that's really it's kind of funny because I think there was some like numbers from HBO Max and how their movies did that they released, and like Mortal Kombat did awesome. Like it was like one of the best, which is so crazy. So they're probably gonna make another one of those. But it's such trash. Like I can barely remember it.
Well, now would be, if it's gonna be that successful, now might be a good time to make a good one.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like the Sonic the Hedgehog movie is kind of like that, where it's like it was good. They made it, but it's kind of like it was better than it had any right to be, and once it was like just good enough to be successful, which is kind of what happened. It's like, well, okay, then you should make another one, and this time take it seriously, maybe. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I guess they could take the wrong lesson away from it and be like, oh, we can just make shitty ones, and people will come out and watch them.
Yeah, there's always that risk.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.